We're on the way, despite the resistance, despite the distractions. In the Gospel of Mark, Jesus chose 12 men to have a special kind of relationship with him, to follow him as he traveled around the countryside. Now, we call them disciples. But we should be clear that Jesus didn't only intend for just 12 people to follow him and become disciples. No, all of us are invited to become disciples. All of us are asked to follow Jesus. And so this week we're going to take a special look at this notion of discipleship. What did it mean in Jesus' day to be a disciple? And what does it mean for us today? So let's start with the Greek word of the week.
The Greek word of the week is mathetes, which literally translates as disciple or follower, learner, student. It goes along with another word, the master, the teacher, the mentor, the model. The mathetes, or the disciple, is someone who takes the example of another person and fashions his or her own thoughts and values, choices and behaviors on the example of that person. This tandem of student and teacher, disciple and master, suggests that there's more going on here than just the exchange of words and their meanings. The disciple is one who must open up his or her life to the full reality of what the teacher has to offer. The same is true for us as disciples of Jesus. Jesus is our model, our mentor, our master. And as followers of Jesus, we're not just to listen to what he has to say, but we are to open our lives to the full power and reality of his example, his character, his charisma, as well as what he taught, so that we can become imitators of Christ in our lives.
John Wesley here. The distinguishing mark of a true follower of Christ is not outward circumcision or baptism or any other outward form, but a right state of soul, a mind and spirit renewed in the image of the one who created it. I call this the circumcision of the heart.
Ouch!
Not trying to be funny here. If Christ be risen, you ought then to die unto the world and to live wholly unto God. You should have no other goal, no other purpose in life than God himself. That was my own driving passion in life, to know God, to follow Christ, and to be used of the Holy Spirit in every matter.
Disciples imitate their master. They pay close attention to everything the master does. In Jesus' day, the rabbi would sit on the ground and teach, and his disciples would gather around and standing would listen. They would pay very close attention to everything the rabbi said and did. They would listen, they would ask questions, and then when they left, they would attempt to model their lives on the life of their master or the rabbi. We see this happen in the Gospel of Mark, in chapter 6 in particular. We see that Jesus sends out the 12. He sends them out 2 by 2 into the different villages, and he sends them with a charge to teach, to preach, to heal, to cast out demons. In other words, to do everything that he, Jesus, had been doing. Then we see in another episode, after a particularly long day of preaching, the disciples come to Jesus and they say, well, everybody here is getting hungry. You need to send them home. And Jesus turns the table on them and says, no, you give them something to eat. Now the disciples were flustered by this. They were unable to do that. But it's clear that Jesus' expectations were that they would be able to do it. They would be able to do what he did. That they would be able to imitate him. So we might define a disciple as someone who imitates the master and tries to do everything that the master says and does. So do you know any disciples out there?
Master instructor in Korean language is the word sabomnem. So as a master instructor here, I truly believe in what I'm teaching my students. In order for me to teach well and to teach the very best that I and put everything I can into my students, I have to truly believe in what I'm going to teach them, that I'm here to better them. It's about character development. Yes, we're going to teach them how to kick and punch and defend themselves, but truly it's about character development. It's about teaching a person how to be courteous and have integrity and to work hard towards goals and how to set goals for themselves. the main objective here when anybody walks into our martial arts school is to achieve their black belt. That's a long-term goal. Children especially don't understand what a long-term goal is because they haven't been around long enough to understand a long-term goal. But if a child is taught here from 5 years old or 6 or 7 years old, and they get a great foundation as to what life is truly about. And it's all about working hard and setting goals for yourselves and caring about your family and obeying and respecting your parents. Because if you obey and respect your parents, that means you care about yourself. Because your parents care about you and love you more than anybody else in this world. So why wouldn't you show respect to them? In our society, I find that children are not taught what the word respect is. And that's just as simple as telling them that you treat other people the way you want to be treated. And that's all respect is. We have 5 tenets of Taekwondo that we teach here, and that's courtesy, integrity, perseverance, indomitable spirit, and self-control. Those 5 words have a lot of meaning here because in order for them to achieve the different ranks, they have to be able to recite the meaning and the definition of those 5 words. We don't just talk about those words, but we try to teach them how to live by those words. If they can live by those 5 words and have respect for other people, they should be able to go very, very far in life. And our society needs more of that. So I'm here to help. I'm here to help our society. This is my opportunity to give back for all the great things that have happened to me in my life. I believe that in order to be a great instructor, you have to lead by example. If you are instilling information on someone, that's just information. But if you're instilling what you truly believe from your heart, that will ingrain that information much better because the person can pick up on the passion that you have for what you're trying to instill. So in other words, if you don't truly believe in your philosophies when you're teaching martial arts, when we're talking about the character building part as well as the self-defense part, then the people won't truly understand what it is that's going to help them in their lives. So yeah, I think that it's really, really very important that the instructor leads by example.
It should be pretty obvious by now that if you want to be a disciple of Jesus, you've got to really know Him. How do we get to know Him? We get to know Jesus by reading the book, which narrates His story, transcribes His words, and describes the results. Do you resemble Jesus? Try it. I'll see you on the way.